welcome to LS Learn English Through Story. I'm Harry, your host for today's adventure. Have you ever wondered about the biggest war in human history? Get ready, everyone, because this story will take you on an exciting journey about World War II, a war that changed everything we know about our world today. Picture this. It's 1939. People are living normal lives. Children go to school, parents work in offices and farms, but suddenly, everything changes. Countries start fighting. Millions of people's lives turn upside down. This is not just any war story. This is the story of how ordinary people became heroes, how evil tried to take over the world, and how good finally won. Today, my friend Tom will tell you this amazing story. Tom knows how to make history come alive. He will take you from the dark beginning to the hopeful end. You will meet real people, see real places, and understand why this war still matters today. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let Tom transport you back to the most important 6 years in modern history. Tom, take it away.
Thank you, Harry. Hello, everyone. I'm Tom, and I'm so excited to share this incredible story with you today. World War II is not just about dates and battles. It's about real people, real choices, and real courage. Let me take you on this journey through time. Chapter 1. The storm begins. 193-91-94-0. Let me tell you about a man named Adolf Hitler. In 1939, Hitler controls Germany. He believes his country should rule all of Europe. He has a terrible plan. He wants to hurt many innocent people, especially Jewish families. Hitler thinks some people are better than others. This is completely wrong, but many Germans follow him. On September 1st, 1939, something terrible happens. German soldiers cross the border into Poland. They use tanks, planes, and thousands of troops. The Polish people fight bravely, but Germany is too strong. Britain and France see this attack. They make an important decision. They declare war on Germany. And they declare war on Germany. But Hitler doesn't stop with Poland. His armies are fast and powerful. They attack Denmark and Norway in April 1940. Then in May, they attack Holland, Belgium, and Luxembourg. The German military uses a new type of fighting called Blitzkrieg. This means lightning war. They move very fast with tanks and planes working together. The most shocking moment comes when Germany attacks France. France has a strong army, but the Germans are smarter. They go around the French defenses. By June 1940, German soldiers march through Paris. The French government surrenders. People around the world watch in fear. Hitler now controls most of Western Europe. But there is one country that refuses to give up: Britain. The British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, speaks to his people on the radio. He says Britain will never surrender. He promises to fight on the seas, in the air, and on the beaches. The British people listen to his strong voice and decide to continue fighting even when they are alone. Chapter 2, Britain Stands Alone. 1940-1941. Picture London in 1940. Every night, German planes fly over the city. They drop bombs on houses, schools, and hospitals. This is called the Blitz. But something amazing happens. The British people don't give up. When the sirens sound, families go into underground stations. They sing songs, tell stories, and support each other. During the day, young British pilots fly their small fighter planes against hundreds of German bombers. These pilots are mostly in their early 20s. They know they might not come home, but they keep flying. Churchill says about these brave young men, never was so much owed by so many to so few. Let me tell you about one pilot named James. He is only 21 years old. Every morning, he kisses his mother goodbye and flies his Spitfire plane into dangerous skies. One day, German planes surround him. His plane is damaged, but he continues fighting. He shoots down 2 enemy planes before his own plane crashes. James survives and returns to fight another day. The German Air Force loses many planes over Britain. Hitler realizes he cannot win this air battle. He makes a big mistake. He decides to attack the Soviet Union instead of finishing his fight with Britain. This decision changes everything in the war. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic Ocean, America watches the war but doesn't join the fighting. Yet, President Franklin Roosevelt wants to help Britain, but many Americans remember World War I. They don't want to send their sons to fight in another European war. However, Roosevelt finds clever ways to help. He sends weapons and supplies to Britain through a program called Lend-Lease. Chapter 3, The War Becomes Global, 1941. On June 22, 1941, Hitler makes his biggest mistake. He breaks his promise to Stalin and attacks the Soviet Union. This attack is called Operation Barbarossa. It involves 3.8 million German soldiers, the largest military invasion in history. At first, the German attack succeeds. German tanks roll across the Russian countryside. They capture millions of Soviet soldiers. Cities like Kiev and Minsk fall quickly. By October, German armies reach the outskirts of Moscow. It seems like the Soviet Union might collapse. But then winter arrives. German soldiers don't have warm clothes or equipment for the cold Russian winter. The temperature drops to minus 30 degrees Celsius. German tanks and trucks stop working in the cold. Meanwhile, Soviet soldiers know how to fight in winter. They start pushing the Germans back. Stalin, the Soviet leader, moves factories from Western Russia to safe places in the east. Workers, including many women, work day and night to build tanks, planes, and weapons. The Soviet Union begins producing more weapons than Germany. This is the beginning of Germany's problems. On the other side of the world, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. It's a quiet Sunday morning in Hawaii. American sailors are having breakfast on their ships when suddenly Japanese planes appear in the sky. They drop bombs and torpedoes on the American naval base. In just 2 hours, they sink or damage 18 American warships and kill over 2,000 people. This attack changes everything. The next day, President Roosevelt speaks to the American Congress. He calls December 7th a date which will live in infamy. America enters the war. Now the conflict truly becomes a world war with fighting in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Pacific Ocean. Chapter 4, The Tide Begins to Turn, 101 to 102, 121, 943. The year 1942 brings some of the darkest moments of the war, but also the beginning of hope. In Europe, the Holocaust continues. Nazi Germany builds concentration camps where they murder millions of innocent people, Jews, Roma, disabled people, and others they consider undesirable. This is one of the worst crimes in human history, but people fight back in many ways. Let me tell you about a brave woman named Irina Sendler. She works as a nurse in the Warsaw Ghetto in Poland. The Nazis forced Jewish families to live in terrible conditions in this small area of the city. Irina risks her life to save Jewish children. She smuggles them out of the ghetto in boxes, bags, and through sewage pipes. She saves 2,500 children's lives. In North Africa, British forces fight German and Italian armies in the desert. The battle moves back and forth across Egypt and Libya like a deadly game. The German commander, Erwin Rommel, is so good that people call him the Desert Fox. But in October 1942, British General Montgomery defeats Rommel at the Battle of El Alamein. This is Britain's first major victory against Germany. And in the Pacific, American and Japanese forces fight for control of small islands. The Battle of Midway in June 1942 becomes the turning point. American code breakers discover Japanese attack plans. American planes sink 4 Japanese aircraft carriers in one day. Japan loses its best pilots and can never fully recover from this defeat. The most important battle happens in a Russian city called Stalingrad. German armies surround this city in August 1942. They control most of the city, but Soviet soldiers refuse to surrender. They fight for every building, every room, every street. The battle continues for months. Soviet General Vasily Chuikov tells his men, "There is no land for us beyond the Volga River." Winter arrives again, and Soviet forces surround the German army. Over 200,000 German soldiers are trapped in Stalingrad without food or supplies. In February 1943, they finally surrender. This battle shows the world that the German army can be defeated. From this moment, Germany starts losing the war. Chapter 5. The Allies Strike Back, 1943-1944. With victories in North Africa and Stalingrad, the Allies, Britain, America, and the Soviet Union, begin working together better. They plan to attack Germany from different directions. Stalin wants Britain and America to open a second front in Western Europe to help reduce pressure on Soviet forces. In July 1943, Allied forces invade Sicily and then Italy. The Italian people are tired of war and fascism. They remove Mussolini from power and want to join the Allies. However, German forces in Italy fight fiercely. The campaign in Italy becomes slow and difficult, with battles in mountains and ancient towns. Meanwhile, the Allies plan the biggest invasion in history, D-Day. General Dwight Eisenhower leads this massive operation. The plan is to land 150,000 soldiers on the beaches of Normandy, France. But first, they must fool the Germans about where they will attack. The Allies create a brilliant deception. They build fake armies with inflatable tanks and aircraft. They use double agents to send false information to Germany. They even create a fake general, George Patton, to command this fake army. The Germans believe the main attack will come at Calais, not Normandy. On June 6, 1944, D-Day finally arrives. It's still dark when thousands of Allied paratroopers jump from planes behind German lines. At dawn, the largest naval invasion force in history approaches the French coast. American, British, and Canadian soldiers land on 5 beaches with code names Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. The fighting is terrible, especially at Omaha Beach. German machine guns fire down from cliffs onto American soldiers. Many brave men die in the sand and surf. But gradually, the Allies establish their foothold. By the end of the day, they have 150,000 soldiers in France. The liberation of Western Europe has begun. Let me tell you about Private John, a 19-year-old American soldier. He lands on Omaha Beach in the first wave. Bullets fly around him as he runs across the sand. His friends fall beside him, but he keeps moving forward. He helps capture a German machine gun position that was stopping other soldiers from advancing. John's courage saves many lives and helps the invasion succeed. Chapter 6, The Race to Victory, 1944-1945. After D-Day, Allied armies race across France. Paris is liberated on August 25, 1944. French people dance in the streets and cry with joy. American and British soldiers are welcomed as heroes. But the war is not over yet. Hitler orders his armies to fight to the last man. In December 1944, German forces launch a surprise attack in Belgium called the Battle of the Bulge. American troops are caught off guard, but they fight bravely in freezing winter conditions. The 101st Airborne Division is surrounded in the town of Bastogne. When Germans demand surrender, American General McAuliffe gives a one-word answer: nuts. In the east, Soviet armies push toward Germany. They liberate concentration camps and discover the full horror of the Holocaust. Soviet soldiers are shocked by what they find: starving prisoners, mass graves, and evidence of systematic murder. These discoveries make them even more determined to defeat Nazi Germany completely. As Allied armies approach from both east and west, Hitler hides in an underground bunker in Berlin. His dream of ruling Europe becomes a nightmare. German cities are bombed day and night. Millions of German civilians flee westward to escape the advancing Soviet army. On April 12, 1945, something unexpected happens. President Roosevelt dies suddenly. The American people are shocked and sad. Roosevelt has led America through the Great Depression and most of World War II. Vice President Harry Truman suddenly becomes president and must make some of the most important decisions in history. Soviet armies surround Berlin in April 1945. Street fighting is brutal as German soldiers make their last stand. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler commits suicide in his bunker rather than face capture. On May 8th, 1945, Germany officially surrenders. This day is called VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. People celebrate in London, New York, Paris, and Moscow. But the war is not completely over. Japan still fights in the Pacific. American forces prepare to invade Japan, expecting millions of casualties. Then, President Truman makes a terrible, but perhaps necessary decision. He orders the use of atomic bombs. Chapter 7. The End and New Beginnings, 1945. On August 6th, 1945, an American plane called the Enola Gay drops an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. The explosion destroys most of the city and kills 80,000 people instantly. 3 days later, another atomic bomb destroys Nagasaki. These weapons are more powerful than anything the world has ever seen. Empress Hirohito of Japan realizes that Japan cannot continue fighting. On August 15th, 1945, he announces Japan's surrender on the radio. World War II is finally over after 6 long years. September 2nd, 1945 becomes the official surrender day when Japanese officials signed surrender documents on the American battleship Missouri in Tokyo Bay. Let me tell you about Maria, a young woman from Poland. In 1939, she was a university student studying literature. The war destroyed her city and killed her family. She spent years hiding from the Nazis and fighting with resistance groups. When the war ends, she is only 24 years old, but she looks much older. However, Maria doesn't give up hope. She helps rebuild her country and becomes a teacher, sharing her story with future generations. The numbers from World War II are almost impossible to believe. Between 70 and 85 million people died. That's more than the entire population of many countries today. The Soviet Union lost about 27 million people. Poland lost 6 million. Germany lost 5.3 million. The United States lost 418,500. Every number represents real people, mothers, fathers, children, friends. But World War II also shows the best of human nature. People like Oskar Schindler saved over 1,000 Jews by employing them in his factory. The people of Denmark helped most of their Jewish citizens escape to Sweden. Resistance fighters in every occupied country risked their lives for freedom. Allied soldiers from many different countries fought together against evil. The war changes everything. Europe is destroyed and needs to be rebuilt. The United States and Soviet Union emerge as superpowers, but they soon become rivals in the Cold War. The United Nations is created to prevent future world wars. New technologies developed during the war, like computers, jet engines, and rockets, begin changing how people live. Chapter 8: Lessons that Last Forever. Why does World War II still matter today? This war teaches us important lessons about human nature, courage, and the danger of hatred. First, it shows us that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. The young pilots who saved Britain, the resistance fighters who fought against occupation, the code breakers who solved enemy secrets. Most of these heroes were regular people who found courage when they needed it most. Second, the war teaches us about the danger of prejudice and hatred. The Holocaust happened because people believed lies about other groups. They thought some people were better than others based on religion, race, or nationality. We must remember this lesson and fight against hatred in all its forms. Third, World War II shows us the importance of standing up to bullies. When Hitler first started taking over countries, some leaders thought they could make deals with him. But evil cannot be negotiated with. It must be stopped. Sometimes good people must fight to protect innocent people. The war also teaches us about the power of working together. The Allies won Because different countries with different systems, democratic America and Britain, communist Soviet Union, worked together against a common enemy. When people cooperate, they can overcome great challenges. Finally, World War II reminds us that freedom is not free. Democracy and human rights exist because people are willing to sacrifice for them. Every generation must decide if they will fight for these values or let them disappear. Today, there are still conflicts around the world. There are still people who promote hatred and violence. But we also see people working for peace, helping refugees, and standing up for human rights. The spirit of those who fought against fascism lives on in everyone who chooses courage over fear, love over hatred, and hope over despair. The veterans of World War II are now very old. Soon there will be no living witnesses to tell their stories. That's why it's so important for all of us to remember their lessons and share their stories with future generations. As we remember World War II, we honor not only those who died, but also those who survived and rebuilt the world. They gave us the freedom we enjoy today. The question is, what will we do with the freedom they gave us? Common Friends is the story of World War II, the greatest and most terrible war in human history. It's a story of darkness and light, of evil and heroism, of destruction and hope. Most importantly, it's a story that reminds us that each of us has the power to choose between good and evil, between courage and cowardice, between love and hate. The people who lived through World War II were not different from us. They faced choices, and they chose to fight for what was right. Today, we face our own choices. Will we stand up against injustice? Will we help those who need our help? Will we choose hope over fear? The greatest honor we can give to those who fought and died in World War II is to remember their lessons and apply them to our own lives. Their story becomes our story when we choose courage, when we stand up for others, and when we work together to build a better world.
Wow, Tom, what an incredible journey through one of history's most important periods. From the dark beginning in 1939 to the hopeful end in 1945, you've shown us that World War II was not just about armies and battles. It was about ordinary people making extraordinary choices. I hope everyone listening today understands that this story is not just about the past. The lessons from World War II help us understand our world today. When we see prejudice, we remember the Holocaust. When we see bullies, we remember that good people must stand together. When we face difficult choices, we remember the courage of those who came before us. The heroes of World War II, the pilots, the resistance fighters, the code breakers, the soldiers, and the civilians who refused to give up, they all started as ordinary people, but they found courage when the world needed it most. That same courage lives inside each of us, waiting for the moment when we need to use it. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the story. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a new story. Have a wonderful day, take care, and see you next time.